Making jokes about us in comparison. Show people have power too. More to the floor, well, to negotiation. I have to say that was a bit of a power trip because like people were separating. I got walked down this alley. It was pretty cool. I felt like a celebrity. Then it was my autograph. I won't give it to you. Talk about publicist. Yeah. So about a couple of months ago, near about the end of June, I got to experience something that I find to be kind of special. The best way to say it is that I got to experience Tantra. Yeah, some people know what I'm talking about. And when I do say Tantra, I do mean a tantric massage. Hi, Aunt Sandra.
I don't want to know about this.
As I'm telling this story, please be aware that my relative, my aunt, is currently in the audience. So I got to experience a tantric massage. For those who don't know, it's like a regular massage. It's not that big of a deal. It can be a little bit more sensual, a little bit more erotic for some people. Ow! Yeah. So, the reason why I got to experience this is because my friend from Mezrab invited me out to this hippie event. Yeah, it's like one of these events that you walk into and it looks like the movie Mad Max. But like a version of Mad Max where everyone had gone to therapy. Like, from the minute I stepped onto the campsite, there were these massive installations, these like wooden sculptures that they were going to burn. It was crazy. There was all these costumes, leather boas, sequins dress, glitter, so much glitter. People were dressed up, people were dressed down. There was also naked people. Yeah, there was naked people hanging around a bonfire, naked people playing in mud, naked people wanting to give you a hug. If you let them. And from the minute I kind of stepped on this ground, I felt that the air was really kind of tangibly different. You know, it's one of these spaces where they want you to explore your most authentic self. They want you to get in touch with your spirituality. You know, a lot of meditation, a lot of this kind of talk about Aries and moons and planets and alignments and they also say that it's a place where you take adulthood and you take it off your shoulders and you go out and you play and you explore as though you were a child. So with that being said, I thought, I'm going to do a tantric workshop. So the tantric workshop, it had a couple of rules before it began. The first rule was that it was going to be a non-verbal event. So when it came to picking our partner and doing the exercise, we weren't allowed to speak. The second rule was that consent would be respected at all times. Even though it was non-verbal, you could always signal the namaste gesture to say, no thank you, or I've had enough. Without any questions to ask, you can end the exercise. After we all agreed to the rules, it then became the first part of the workshop. And this was the courtship ritual. So they would play music like Enya and whale music. And you have to move around the space, and then just through eye contact alone, you would try to find the people that like you wanted to massage with. And then later, the instructor was like, if you feel like you're ready, you can start to use touch. So you can brush a cheek, you know, feel some chest, you can give a good squeeze. I didn't do too well during the courtship ritual. And the reason is, honest to God, because of all of the costumes that were swirling around me, I was reminded of the ballroom scene from the movie Labyrinth. And I was thinking in the back of my head, like, this could be my moment. Like, this could be it, guys. This could be my Jennifer Connelly moment. I was going to find my Goblin King. So as I was moving through the crowd, being mystified by all of these feathered boas and these corsets and everything that people were wearing, the exercise ended, and it was time to sit back down. I hadn't found anybody. So when the instructor said, you can now go to your partner, I panicked. And I looked up, and I met eyes with a Dutch woman. And that's not to say that she was unattractive. I wouldn't say that. It's just when I was thinking of my Goblin King, I was picturing something a little bit hairier, with a bit of a beard, you know? Like, he's got a good job and an appreciation for fine wine, but also like a nerdy side, so we could like talk about Star Trek and, I don't know, Dungeons and Dragons. Eat cuddle and talk about the races we want to play. But I didn't get that. Instead, I got this lovely duck woman, and you know what? I'm not going to fail my tantrum workshop at level 1. Right? So if this is how the universe wants us to align, then so be it. So I said to myself inside, because I can't talk, come on, Miss Frau. Miss Frau, you and I learning tantrum together. Let's go. And then she signals to me, she crosses her arms, and this means that she wants to do the passive role. So not only is my first tantra experience going to be heterosexual, but she also wants me to be the man. You know what though? Like, despite my disappointment, despite this not going the way that I wanted to go, I'm still going to do it. I'm still going to try. So next thing I know, I have a woman lying in front of me in her underwear, and we're given the first instruction. The first instruction is to grab our partner's hand. Now this is very important because this is how she's going to communicate consent to me. One tap means stop it, but a squeeze means continue. So I'm holding my partner's hands, and then we're told that we can now begin by exploring our partner's arm. And so I do it. I go up, and then the instructor says, try to feel your partner's skin. She's asking questions. Do you find it soft? Do you find it rough? Is there hair? Is there scars? Can you feel the muscle attached to the bone? I'm like, yeah, that's fine. And then she goes, try to focus on your partner's breathing. So inhale, exhale, inhale, exhale. So far, so good. Next instruction. When you feel ready, try to explore the rest of your partner's body. So inhale, inhale, and I'm like, it's time. So I start to slowly move my hand over her shoulder, but then I feel her tense. She hasn't given me the tap, but I can feel that she's tensed, and I can see that her eyes are closed and she looks uncomfortable. So I think, if I'm going to do this right, I need to take it slow. So I stop, and I only focus on her collarbone. And I'm just going inhale, exhale, inhale, exhale. That earns me a squeeze of my hand. She likes it. So now I'm thinking to myself, like, oh my God, maybe I can do this. Like, I'm doing something right. I got a compliment. So I think, it's time to move on. We're building a repertoire between her and I. So I start to move down her shoulder, over her side, and then I feel that she gets tense again. So I think, okay, go back to the neck. That's what she likes. That's what we're going to say. Inhale, exhale. But I keep kind of trying. Because I want to pass level 2 as well. And eventually I do get there. After a couple of tries, I do manage to move to across her belly, which I guess she was nervous to have me touch. And the way I did it is I began to envision this woman as a musical instrument. And I thought that if I felt her tense or I felt her get uncomfortable, it was like striking the wrong note, and then I would start over again. And slowly but surely, I managed to make it to her belly. And then there, the instructor again was telling us, feel her skin. Is it soft? Draw little shapes around her belly. Inhale, exhale, inhale, exhale. by this stage, it felt like I built a kind of language with her. That I began to understand just by paying attention to her body, what was making her nervous, what did she enjoy, and it felt, on a really deep way, that we built a connection. So then the instructor says to us, you are now welcome to explore your partner's breasts. We didn't have a lot of connection there. So I went back to the collarbone. Again, this was our but despite that little hiccup, we did eventually make it to the end. And the end pose was kind of, I was sitting up, and then she was like the Eiffel Tower. And my arms were wrapped around her, and I was kind of holding her like a butterfly. And but by this stage, I felt like maybe this was the point where I'd taken things too far, or the exercise had gone too far, because when I was holding her, I didn't feel that connection anymore. I only felt the tension, the need to be uncomfortable. And then she kind of broke the rules, and she whispered to me. She whispered in my ear in Dutch that she would really like to lay down. So I say, okay, that's fine. And we lay down. I become the big spoon, she becomes the little spoon, and now I'm holding her tightly. And as I'm holding her tightly, that's when she began to cry. And I thought to myself, oh my God, I've broken this woman. But based on her language, it didn't feel like she was trying to push me away. She wasn't trying to wiggle free. She wasn't resisting against me. And I kind of felt that the right thing to do at that moment was to squeeze her tighter. And then she started to explain to me in Dutch the reason why she was crying. But by that stage, I had begun to cry too. So I'm holding this woman. She's whispering to me in Dutch. I'm holding her as tight as I can. And we're going through this very emotional moment together. And then the instructor says to us, the exercise is over. You can now speak to your partner. So she's at one moment on my lap, and then she gets up. She opens her eyes. I'm looking at her. She's got tears in her eyes. She's looking at me. She sees tears in my eyes. What can we do? We start to laugh. It's the only way to diffuse the tension between us. We just start to laugh. And as I'm wiping the tears away from my eyes, I'm thinking to myself, wow, what a moment to experience. Wow. It was like unlocking some kind of superpower. I felt like I could go up to any stranger on the street and caress them gently. And we would just have this connection. It was like how Harry Potter felt. It's like in Hogwarts. I felt like a wizard of touch. And then we got to small talking. She told me a little bit about her life. I told her a little bit about my life. And then it was over. She went one way, and I went the other. And as I was walking away, I was thinking to myself, I didn't even have the courage to ask her why she would cry. So, luckily, near the very end of the event, after doing an entire weekend of crazy hippie shit, I randomly run into this woman. And I'm walking along and she waves me over, and I don't even recognize her at first, because I had an entire weekend of raving. An entire weekend of exploring myself. That was the other Tantra workshop. I had an entire weekend, so I didn't recognize her at first. And then she said, like, hey, it's me, it's the Tantra girl. And I was like, oh, hey, I remember you. And we got talking, and because I had drank a little and done some other stuff, I felt more comfortable to ask her, you know, what happened? What happened during the Tantra workshop? Why did you cry? And that's when she told me that she had gone through a series of near-fatal heart attacks. And they were so frequent and so intense that she'd been saying to herself, why am I still alive? Why am I meant to endure this pain? Why am I suffering like this? After every heart attack, she was hoping that that would be the last. So she said to me, the reason why she had cried was because during that event, it was the first time in a long time that she hadn't felt like dying. Then she apologized to me. She said, I guess for you, you were expecting something a little bit more sexual. And I looked at her, and I went, excuse me? I don't know how to tell you this, but I'm gay. And then she took a step back, and she was like, what? I don't know how to tell you this, but I'm a lesbian. So we proceed to laugh again. That's the only means of diffusing this awkward moment. We laughed for about 15 minutes, trying to make sense how in this primarily heterosexual coupling, the lone lesbian came together to experience tantra for the first time. And we couldn't make sense of it. But now that I've had a couple of months to think about it, and I do think about this moment quite a bit, I'm kind of happy that this first experience was with a woman, with somebody that I didn't feel an attraction to. And that's because I didn't feel self-conscious. I didn't feel the needs to impress her. I just wanted to experience something. I just wanted to experience a moment with this person. And that's the funny thing, because I didn't come to that event originally to find my Goblin King. I went there to discover. And like I said at the beginning of this story, what I discovered is something special. Thank you.